right. Well, we're going to get started now. So I just wanted to say again, welcome to every single person here. And thank you to everybody who has joined and showed up and decided to both invest in themselves and connect with others in the G2i community. This session will be around 75 minutes to 80 minutes, and we're very excited to focus on something a bit different today, which is rediscovering your purpose and your motivation at work. I am your host, Sinjana. As always, it's really great to bring our dev community together again and just our general G2i community together. And I'm very excited about today's workshop as we head into the second month of this year. Today, we're having an interactive session with Simonas Naulickas, who will guide us through practical exercises to help you reconnect with what makes work meaningful again. He is a burnout and recovery coach who specializes in helping senior devs and tech leads feel excited about their work again and without quitting. So after experiencing burnout 5 times over 6 years as a software engineer, he now learned practical ways to rebuild energy, boundaries, and purpose, and he guides experienced devs through proven methods to transform their work relationship. So this workshop, as mentioned, will include like interactive exercises, and you'll have a workbook and materials to follow along, which I've sent to everybody. And at the end, we'll have an optional breakout room for those who'd like to reflect and connect with other developers. I would suggest you to turn on your camera so we can really make this a true interactive session. But I'll give this floor to Simonas, who's going to help us make 2026 a much more healthier and balanced year. So take it away, Simonas.
Perfect. Thank you, Sanjana. Now, I guess let's get started. So be honest. When the alarm went off today in the morning, what was the first feeling that hit your chest? Was it excitement to build something great? Or was it a silent, heavy dread for the day to come? This is a very great check to see if your life is going in the right direction, if you're enjoying life or your life is being hard for you. Unfortunately, a lot of people I know wake up with this dread, feeling dreadful for the day to come, because you have endless meetings, you have impossible deadlines, you have uncooperative clients, you might have toxic colleagues, toxic environment. And you really have little time to do the things that you really enjoy, you really love doing, and even less time and headspace for other things outside of work, like family, like friends, hobbies, even your own well-being. And I've been stuck in this kind of dread for the almost first years of my career. And in the last 5, I believe I found a way out of it. So today, in this workshop, I'm going to show you how to move from feeling stuck, overwhelmed, low on energy, maybe burnt out, to living with purpose and clarity. Now, let me be clear. I don't expect you to refactor your whole life's code base in this one session. What I want you to focus on is finding that one patch, that one thing that can fix that bug, that dreadful feeling that you woke up with today. So today, guide you how to create heart and coherence, which is so important to living with purpose and living with passion even. And I will do that using my VIA model that I created. It consists of 3 parts. So first part is V, vision. Second, I, interference. And the third one, A, action. So let's get started with vision. Vision is something that everyone has. Whether they know it or not, whether it's subconscious or consciously, they're aware of it. But it's the way you want to live your life, the kind of experiences you want to have, the kind of people you want to be surrounded with, the kind of impact you want to make in your life, maybe even the place where you want to live. And when you have this vision, it's unique to everyone. But if your actions are in alignment with this vision, then the stress that you experience, you can thrive even in the most difficult situations if your actions are in alignment. If your actions are out of alignment, then the stress multiplies, you can get exhausted, feeling stuck, burnt out. And a good way to check whether your actions are in alignment is to see if your actions feel personally meaningful to you, if what you're doing gives meaning. And most people, and myself included, I would try to focus in every workplace I worked in to enjoy like 100% of it, to find meaning in 100% of it. It has to make total sense. If it doesn't make if it makes only 90% sense, I wouldn't be happy. But that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. So I want to introduce you to this 20% rule, and the rule states that if you're spending time on 20% of things that you find personally meaningful to you, and that can be in work or outside of work, then your chances of burning out go down by more than two times. So that's what the Mayo Clinic found in their research. And as you can see, that means you don't need that 100%. Not everything that you do needs to be totally in alignment with your vision or your goals. You only need that 20%. And give an example from my life. When I was working at Zentech, it was an IT agency, so working with clients, doing project-based work. They also had a vision on the side, which was to create in-house products. And that vision really motivated me because I wanted to, I had this goal to make impact through the products that I was making, and a better way to do that than working like directly on them in this company. So that was kind of my 20% thing that I found meaningful. Of course, because I found that vision, I took up more and more responsibility. So I started leading people.
Oh, I think we lost him. I think he's going to rejoin. Let me just double check.
I don't know what happened. So I'm gonna hopefully kick where that's all. So because I found that vision of creating in-house products compelling, I took out more responsibilities, leading projects, leading people, taking on more and more challenging projects, and even I would spend some days like the whole day in meetings. And of course, it was really tiring for me, but I kind of pushed through because I had that 20%, right? That the 20% I found meaningful of creating this vision, impacting people. Creating these products, in-house products, impacting people, helping the company achieve that vision. But at some point, the company shifted their focus from having clients and also working on in-house products to also to only almost exclusively working with clients. And objectively, like nothing really I'll switch my Wi-Fi. Okay, hopefully there will be less interruptions. So where I left off, no, objectively, because like the company shifted focuses to doing more project-based work, focusing on clients. No, nothing really changed, like in how the company was run, but inside I felt like there was something different, there was something wrong, and that part that made me go through that stress, and push through that stress and even thrive there. It was gone. The 20% was gone for me, and soon after I experienced burnout and I quit. So as you can see, like from this example, I mean, hopefully you were able to pick the pieces together from you dropping and getting back in. But I didn't need the 100 to enjoy 100% of what I was doing. I only need that 20% that vision and the work towards it that was being felt meaningful to me. And I want to help you do the same, to find that 20% in the work that you're doing. It might be the work you do, it might be outside of work, but I want to help you create that compelling vision to which that 20% builds to. And yeah, of course, before we do that, before we even find that 20%, or before you find the 20%, we need to get clear on the vision, what kind of life you want to live. And we could jump straight into that, but I'm gonna slow down a bit and start with an exercise that is around getting clear of where you want, where your life is right now. So what kind of life you are leading right now. So I'm gonna guide you through an exercise, and I invite you to grab a piece of paper and a pen, or you can write them in the workbook if you have it, or not, just on your computer or notepad or whatever works for you. And what I want you to do is, as I said again, get clear on what's working in your life and what isn't necessarily working in your life. So I want you to write a short paragraph or a few bullet points for yourself, being brutally honest, not filtering any thoughts about this topic of what your life is looking like right now. And I'll give you some few prompts so we can keep them in mind before we start the exercise. So you can think of things like what is working well in your life, what is not working well in your life, and you want to change. What are some how is your work look like? How is your work looking like? How are your relationships? How is your fitness? How is your health? And how is your work-life balance? So now, keeping this in mind, like these questions, I want you to spend the next, let's say, 4 minutes and writing down, what your life is looking like right now. Okay, so I'm going to take a time and we can begin. And as I said, this is an interactive session. I mean, you're going to get the most value if you are writing things down or doing the exercises together. So yeah, please do it for yourself. Okay, so we have 2 minutes left. Keep writing if you're writing. And of course, you can let me know if everyone's ready. We could move on, but keep writing if you have anything else to write. And yeah, again, I want you to be brutally honest. I mean, the worst thing you can do is right now is lie to yourself that everything's great, but something tells you inside that it's not. So keep that in mind. Okay, last 30 seconds. I can begin to wrap up and give the last thoughts, write down your last thoughts. Okay, time's up. But then you can finish, wrap up. Before we go further, was that enough time? Was it too much? Was it too little? No, let me know in the chat if what you feel.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends. Like checking the PDF, looks like we have a lot of questions, right? So yeah, I think it was enough to go briefly about each piece.
Okay, yeah, thank you for the feedback. So I'll try to keep it a bit simpler for next exercise. The idea is, I'll prompt you, but you don't need to necessarily answer all the questions. Try to think about, I guess, like what the exercise is about. I mean, it's gonna be different next time, but thank you. So
it was not complaining. It's just because I think if you really needs to go deep, you take much more time. But I think for the exercise, it totally makes sense.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you. So now I'm going to move on to next step. I mean, right now we have where you're starting off, and that's great because you know how your life looks like. And let's move to crafting that compelling vision that you have. And because right now you know where you are, and we want to understand like where you want to go. So we want to create that roadmap of your life, pretty much. So you wouldn't start working on a complex feature or a complex application without a roadmap, without a requirement documentation. But a lot of us jump into life without one, right? We don't have a manual, we don't have a roadmap, and we just jump straight and start coding and hope that life turns out great. I mean, it doesn't always happen like that. Before we jump into creating decision, this is going to be another exercise, but focusing on what kind of life you want to live, what kind of experiences you want to have, what kind of impact even you want to make in the world, and what kind of goals maybe you want to achieve. I want to make a distinction on the types of goals that you can focus, when writing this. And it's not like they are better than one over the other, but it's good to understand where the difference of the goals that you can have in your life. And I'll start with the first type of goals, and these are probable goals. So think of them as something that if it's possible to achieve for you, not necessarily immediately, but it's possible because there's proof. Maybe you have done it before, and you kind of vaguely know how to start going there. Kind of can create a sort of a plan how to get there. And for example, if you want to change your job or find a new job, you might kind of know like where to start. You can look up a company that you like and see if they have open positions, or maybe find a friend who's working in that company and ask them, if there are any openings, if they could potentially introduce you to the hiring manager or whatever. You can apply to a position or ask for a referral. And eventually, maybe not at this company, but you're going to get there. You're going to get there because most likely you have done this before. And then I want to go to the second type of goals, which is quite similar, but it has a bit of a difference. And it's what I call possible goals. So things that are possible, there's proof, maybe not necessarily in your life, but in the world around you, there's proof that you can achieve it. But you might not necessarily know like what's the plan for you to get there. You don't know where to start. So for example, if you're a junior developer and you want to go to being senior, or maybe you want to become a tech lead, it's possible because there are senior developers, there are tech leads, or staff engineers or whatever you call them. They are out there in the world. So, and it's very unlikely that you will see a junior developer that has 5+ years of experience. So there's this, it's possible for you, but you don't necessarily know how you'll get there. And what's common with probable and possible goals is that there's some emotion, there's some feeling that you might want to get out of achieving that goal. So for example, you might want to feel proud of yourself when you become a senior developer. It can be subconscious, it can be conscious. You might be aware of it, you might not be aware of it, but there is this emotion that you will feel proud of when you get there, when you achieve that goal. Or if you quit a toxic job, you might feel relieved that you got out of that place. So there's that kind of emotion. And it's a bit different with a third type of goals, what I call impossible goals. And by the definition of it, that these goals might feel impossible. They definitely feel impossible for the kind of person that you are right now. I mean, there's no proof that you're gonna get there, you're gonna achieve them, and there's no proof, and you don't know even where to start. But the thing about impossible goals is that it's something that is drawing you to go towards goals. Your heart, let's say your heart is drawn to achieving those goals, or something is drawing you in, it's pulling you. And an important distinction for impossible goals is the question isn't like how I'm gonna feel when I achieve them. It's more like what kind of person do I need to be to make it possible for me. So, for example, an impossible goal could be starting your own business, creating a thriving business when you have been working as an employee all your career, or maybe even running a marathon if you have never worked out. You don't know where to start. There's no proof that you're going to do it, and you're going to be successful. But maybe there's some piece of you that wants that. And let me give you an example of my impossible goal. So what I want to do, this is kind of a part of it, why I'm even doing this, is I want to create this tech lead institute where I help technical people create this heart and mind coherence so they live happier and more fulfilling lives. Because the reason I want to do that is because I was lacking it. Sanjana mentioned I burned out 5 times in 6 years, and all of that happened. Looking back, is because I didn't listen to this intuition that I had. My heart was, I was always stuck in my mind. There was no coherence. I was listening to intuition. My heart was saying a different thing. I was ignoring it, and I pushed through. I burnt out, and again and again. But there's this reason I want it. But right now, the current version of me is saying that I cannot achieve it. I don't know where to start. I don't know. I'm not sure if you're going to even get this. Maybe I will need to become a different person, or I will need to upgrade myself. So maybe I will need to know how to run a team, or learn how to run a team, how to hire, how to delegate properly and trusting people. And there might be a lot of other things which I don't even know that I don't know. But just thinking about it, thinking from my experience, how I let's say suffered through burnouts because of this coherence that I was lacking. That just draws me in, and it puts me in a state of flow, and I want to make this happen. But I'm still fine, if I achieve it or not, and that's the thing with impossible goals. You should be fine whether you achieve them or not. So when we're going to go through this next exercise, which is focusing on your vision, where you want to go, I want to keep this in mind. I want you to keep these goals in mind and try to think of one impossible goal, which your head is saying, no way, you're not gonna get there. But I want you to write that goal down when you're going through this exercise. And I'm gonna explain the exercise again. So it's going to be a bit pretty similar to the last one. And I want you to write a paragraph or a few bullet points, whichever you prefer, focusing on this question of what kind of experiences you want to have in the future. Focus on 3, 5, 10 years into the future. You can focus on 1 year, but try to make it a bit further away. So what kind of experiences you want to have, what kind of goals you want to achieve, maybe what kind of person you want to be, what kind of people you want to be surrounded with. That's that sort of thing. And a few other questions you might think of is, what your health, for example, looks like. How does your work-life balance look like? What kind of things are you working on? What kind of job you have that might be, or what kind of things you're doing that makes you 10 times more fulfilled and 10 times more happy. So keep those questions in mind. These are like prompts. You don't really need to answer them. So right now, I want you to answer that question. Like the main question is like, what kind of vision do you want to have for your life? What kind of experiences, goals, and maybe people around you want to have? And I'm gonna give you 4 minutes again, and keep writing. Start writing. Sorry. And again, I want you to stop filtering it as much as you can. Stop letting your mind run the show. If there are things that you talk yourself out of writing, I mean, write them down still. That's the best. Yeah, so we have 2 minutes left, and of course, keep writing. And I'm just going to repeat a few of the prompting questions which you can focus on. I mean, that can help you. So you can focus on, of course, you can focus on what your work looks like, what's your career, what kind of role you have. You can also focus on other areas outside of work, like what's your health like, what's your fitness like, what kind of relationships you have, intimate or friendships. What kind of things what kind of hobbies you have, and what does your work-life balance look like? Or even like, what's the dominant emotion every day in your life? Maybe you feel relaxed, maybe you feel balanced, maybe you're excited. So write everything down as much as you can. The last 30 seconds, keep on writing. Okay, time's up. So finish up what you're writing. And I'm gonna keep the space as you mentioned that it depends on how deep you go. So I want you to go as deep as you can. As I said, like that's really the most value that you can get by being honest with yourself, by going deep, by listening to that silent voice that is not your your thoughts, but that's a silent voice that might say that this is the purpose that you're going for. I know keep that in mind. We're gonna do a few more exercises throughout this workshop. And right now you have crafted your vision, and before we had you had looked and crafted your you mentioned what kind of what your life looks like right now. And now you have a vision, so there's this gap between where you are right now and where you want to go. And the way you close this gap is through action, of course. But most people would start there. They would start. Sorry, Lou, there's some interference from your side. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, most people would jump straight into implementation. They would make a plan and go forward with it, try to make that vision come true. And then they have this motivation, and you might be having this motivation right now. Oh, I have this vision and I want to get to some place, and I'm gonna just start acting now. But I want to go a different route. I want because like this motivation, it might last like a month, but it won't last forever. Things will get in the way. What I want to help you find are worthy reasons, compelling reasons for why you want to achieve this vision that you have just created for your life. And what we're gonna do is an exercise. Again, this is a workshop, so the more you start working on it, the more the more you write, the more you get clearer, the more deeper you go, the easier it's gonna get for you. The exercise is gonna be like we're gonna do a root cause analysis for this life vision, or what's driving you towards this vision. Same way that you do it in engineering. If there's a production crash, there was a bug that caused it, we want to ask 5 times why that happened. And eventually, we figure out like there's a deeper reason. And I want you to do the same with this vision that you have. What's driving you towards it. Before I start writing, I want you to show how I did it, explain to you how I did it for my own vision of creating a Tech Lead Institute. The way I started was, of course, I asked myself, why do I want to create this Tech Lead Institute? The first answer was because I want to help people live happier and more fulfilling lives, because I didn't have the support, and I want people to have the same in their careers, in their lives. Because I have to keep asking myself five times, and then I get asked, why do I want to help people live more fulfilling and happier lives? And then I answered, because I want to create a better, because when people are happy, they're more fulfilled, they are better spouses, they are better partners, they're better colleagues. Everyone benefits. They're better parents, and just make the world a better place. Because when they're happy, they're creating a more impact in the world, positive impact, of course. And these answers were, let's say, aspirational, and you can probably take a book and read them, and fetch some answers like these from a book, or from LinkedIn or wherever. But they might be aspirational, but they're not really I'm not really tying any emotion to it. So then I asked again, why do you want to create a better world, make the world a better place? And then some things shifted in me. I felt like that my thinking dropped from my head to my heart. And I thought of my son. I want to create a better world, so my son can live in a better world than I did when I was growing up. And I don't want my son to experience the same bullying that I did. And it was really hard for me, right, when I was growing up. I'm getting a bit emotional right now, even thinking about it, but you get the picture. There's some emotion for this, with this for me. But I can't stop here, even if this feels like it's deep, right? It's uncomfortable, but I still want to go further. So I asked myself again, why do I want my son not to experience bullying? And the answer was, because when I experienced bullying, I I started settling for less than I'm capable of. My opinion started not to matter. I didn't feel important. Sometimes I would just try to be invisible in class, and not say anything that would cause anyone to pay attention to me. And I don't want the same to happen for my son. I want him to be able to hold his own opinion, to be authentic, to be himself. And no, this really is getting more and more powerful for me. But no, I can't actually here, no, even if it's uncomfortable to dig deeper. So I asked again, why do I want my son to live an authentic life, to be himself? And then I answered, because the way I was living inauthentically, I was sacrificing my well-being. I was sacrificing my opinions. I was being less than what I was capable of. And no, that part where I was bullied, that only was the first 10 years, well, even like say 5 years of my life, but it continued into probably 5 years ago, which caused a lot of burnouts for me to happen. I would not say no when I needed to say no, and I felt weak. Sometimes I felt powerless, and I want my son to feel strong, authentic, to hold his ground pretty much. And the only way I can even help him do that is by being authentic right now, even if I wasn't for most of my life, adult life. And you can see, like right now, this feels really real to me. It's not something I can read out of a book. The first answers were, as I said, aspirational, but these are really emotional for me. And I want you to dive as deep as I was going, as much as you can, to find those worthy reasons for you to create that, to go to that life vision that you have just created. So right now, yeah, we're gonna do the same exercise. You're gonna do the same exercise. Start by asking, why do you want to create this life vision? Why do you want to achieve this goal? Why maybe you can focus on one impossible goal if you have one. Why do you want to get that? Why do you want to achieve that? And ask, answer that. Ask again why, and when you're finished at the fifth question, at the fifth answer, that's when you're finished. Even if it's uncomfortable to go deeper. So I'm gonna give you, let's say, 5 minutes for this and get started. And if you might feel stuck at some level, at some question, and you think like you're getting into a loop, that might be a sign that you're in your head. So try to go dig deeper and try to think of other reasons. And it's very common to get stuck at some point, but try to go deeper as much as you can. Okay, 2 minutes left. And if you have answered all of the questions and you have went deep, I mean, you can spend these 2 minutes just thinking about like what's the emotion that can bring out of you, and kind of feel it as much as you can. Last 20 seconds left, so might be wrapping up now. And if does anyone need more time? We would do more, 1 or 2 minutes more.
I'm good.
Okay, so I assume everyone was able to do it in this time. And I want you to keep that in mind. These answers that you had, this final answer that you arrived in. Because that's going to be like your North Star. Why, what's guiding you to get there? That reason that you want this vision. And now you have that vision. You know where you're starting and what's your life looking right now. You know where you want to go. So you identified that gap. And now you have those reasons, those worthy reasons why you want to get to that end destination. I mean, it might not be necessarily be the end destination, but of that vision that you have. And now let's get to the second part, which is interference. What can make you fail? What can make you not achieve these goals? Throughout the day, we have a limited amount of energy, and some things drain the energy, and some things that you do, or even people that you hang out with, they give you energy. The obvious thing you can do, right, is just eliminate everything that drains you of energy and maximize whatever gives you energy. That's that's simple, right? That will make it possible for you to achieve that vision. But you might not even be aware of what's draining you. So we're gonna do another exercise after. I'm gonna give you a few examples as well. And we're gonna do another exercise to identify those energy drains, those things that even give you energy. But yeah, first let me give you an example from my life about these energy drains. So at work, throughout my career, I always would try to be like a jack of all trades. I would focus on the back end, on the front end, logic. I would even want to research UX design, create beautiful UI interfaces. I even started leading people. I wanted to lead people, even run retrospectives, do everything at once pretty much. And of course, some things gave me energy and other things drain me of energy. So for example, creating the backend and front-end logic, that was really, that gave me energy. I felt a sense of achievement whenever I wrapped up a task, which when I was focusing on that. And I would almost always make it quite fast, so I was proud of that as well. And on the other hand, focusing on creating like these UI user experiences, which were, beautiful in a way, that required a lot of effort from me, that required a lot of energy, and I would even focus on it for like, let's say 2-3 days on one screen or one piece of UI element. And at the end of it, it wouldn't be such a great job even. You know, I wouldn't think that it was a great job, and that was draining me of energy. And then there's a teammate on my team who actually enjoys that. You know, he enjoys looking at the UI, UX, you know, at the experience, at the user experience of an application and creating beautiful UI designs. At first, I wanted to emulate him. You know, I wanted to create those designs as well. You know, research how to make best UX user experiences, and kind of compete with him. And that drained me. Like I felt overwhelmed at some point. You know, it wasn't my thing, and I would feel tired after spending, let's say, 2-3 days and not even getting too close to the same result that, you know, my teammate would create. And I would sometimes even feel ashamed of what I created because I spent a week sometimes, and the other person was able to do that like in half a day. So, you know, that was a clear energy drain for me. And what I did, I allowed this teammate to almost exclusively work on on creating those beautiful UI designs. So I would instead, you know, focus on making it good enough, create the great front end and back end logic, and allow him to, you know, create those that, you know, take it further and make it, you know, a nice user experience. And almost immediately, I went from feeling overwhelmed and unhappy even at sometimes to feeling proud of myself because I was doing, you know, the front end and back end logic. I would do it fast. It was, you know, I felt a sense of achievement when I was able to do that. And let me give you another example from one of my clients. He is a tech lead at an IT company, and he was one of the most important technical people in that company. So he knew the code base inside and out of that company. So a lot of people would go to him, you know, write Slack messages. He was bombarded constantly by Slack messages asking him to help them, you know, solve some pressing problem. And what was worse, he would scan the Slack channels himself, you know, looking for people who needed help. So he would like be always in that state of, you know, overwhelm, you know, multitasking, switching from one thing to the other. And when he came to me, he was quite burnt out. You know, there was no joy in his eyes. He was contemplating, you know, whether he should leave, take a sabbatical, you know, leave his job, take a sabbatical, or try to push through and help things get better. And what we agreed on when we were working together is that he would try an experiment, check Slack messages only twice per day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. So he did it for a few weeks, you know, fast forward 2 weeks, let's say, and, you know, he was looking like a different person. He was, because of this simple change, he was, you know, happy. He had joy in his eyes. He was able to work on things that mattered to him, and even spending time with his wife was, you know, he could spend a lot more time, which was being present with his wife, you know, and enjoying those moments, just because of this simple change. So, and I want you to identify these energy drains and even things that are giving energy through this exercise. It's going to be a bit shorter. I'm going to give, let's say, 3 minutes for this. And what I want you to do is take a page and, you know, split it into 2 columns. And at the top of the first column, write gives energy. And at the top of the second column, write drains energy. So what you're going to do is, you know, spend the next 3 minutes writing, you know, what gives you energy and what drains your energy, and just whatever comes to your mind. You know, don't let it flow freely. And before I start, I'll give you a few examples from my life. You know, what I identified that give me and drain me of energy. So things that give me energy is, you know, I take a walk first thing in the morning. I exercise. I drink water. I consciously drink more water. I try to eat as healthy as I can. You know, spending quality time with my son and my wife. All of those things give me energy. And on the other side, what drains me of energy, you know, there's, you know, if I check social media or read some emails or check, you know, my instant messaging from work, those things drain me of energy. If I eat junk food, if I, you know, scroll mindlessly, or if I even snack mindlessly, that drains me of energy. Endless meetings or back-to-back meetings even drain me of energy. And like uncertainty at work. So keeping these examples in mind, and you have these two columns, spend the next 3 minutes and write down what gives you energy and what drains you of energy. And you can start now. And again, if you're unsure whether to write something or not, write it down. I mean, it doesn't need to be perfect. The list doesn't have to be perfect. So 1 minute left. Keep on writing. Keep on thinking of things, and there might be some voice in your head or there was something that was like going through your head, and you know it's an energy drain, but maybe you ignored it. It's time to become aware of it and write it down. Or maybe you have already done that, and that's good as well. Okay, so time's up. And by now, you should have a list of things that give you energy and the things that drain you of energy. So now I want you to look at the list of the things that drain you of energy and find one thing, circle out one thing which you can try to minimize, you can commit to minimizing or even removing it altogether from your life. So I'm going to give you around 30 seconds or so to do that. It should be popping out. You know what that is. It's time to commit to trying to minimize it as much as you can. All right. So hopefully you have committed to that. It's in your mind. You're going to take it forward, and that's I know that's going to be amazing. You don't need that big shift. Only 1% sometimes is enough. And by now, we did this move through two things, right? We moved through a vision. We know where you're starting, and how your current life looks like. You know where you want to go. You know that gap, and then have the compelling reasons to go for that vision. And now you also know what might make you fail, the interference that's out there. And we're gonna move on to the third part, which is action. And with action, right now, everything that all the insights that you have, everything that you wrote down, they're safe. They're in the staging environment. They're not going to break anything, but they're also not providing value. And for them to actually be useful, we need to deploy them to production. And that is by taking action. Because in production, by taking action, you're going to get that value from these insights. And before any action happens, before you make any action, you make a decision, whether it's a conscious decision, you're aware of a decision, or it's a subconscious decision. There's always a decision. And even not making a decision, that's also a decision. It's a decision for you to keep living the same way that you have been living up until now. So, let me give you an example of the importance of decisions from my personal experience. Almost a year ago, about a year ago, I have been running in circles for almost 6 months, I guess, trying to convince myself to start eating healthy, to eat more energy. I didn't like the way I looked. I would sometimes get out of breath, walking up hills and so on. So I wasn't really enjoying that. But no matter how many times I told myself that I'm gonna start eating healthy, nothing changed. For 6 months, I was stuck in that place. But at one point, I had enough. I said, that's it. I made a decision. I'm gonna start eating healthy starting today. I told my wife, and suddenly, it was so much easier for me to stick to it. I started eating healthy. So I got in a span of a few months, while I was eating healthy, I got much better energy. I felt I felt better overall, physically, fitness-wise. But that only took me a single decision, and it happened in an instant. I just made a decision, and that was it. Another way to look at decisions and to illustrate the power of them is this way. Like imagine or remember a time when you are working on or discussing a new feature or a new project, new product to start even with your team, and you were just going back and forth. It wasn't clear where you're going to start, what you're going to do. Maybe you spent hours or even days discussing this, and you couldn't reach a conclusion at all. How did that feel? I'm sure you felt confused. You didn't feel inspired to jump in, and get coding. You didn't know where to start even. But remember a time when that senior architect or that team lead or tech lead jumped in and said, okay, we vaguely know where we want to go. Let's pick option B. Let's create the tickets and get started on this. How did you feel at that point? I'm sure you said, finally, I can start working on this. I can finally bring value to users. The relief in the room was instant. So right now, I want you to be that senior architect for your own life. So you have this vision, you know where you want to go. And I want you to think of 2 decisions that you can make today. One big decision, well, let's say one start with a small decision and one big decision. And you might feel more resistance to that big decision. It's might be your mind might be saying, your mind might be saying, and I'm not going to do that. But a decision happens in one moment. And as I said, with a decision, you can change your life. Not necessarily instantly, but eventually it's going to change. So I want you to think of those decisions, and I'm going to give you a minute to write down, well, at least one decision that you can make. If it's a big or small, at least one decision that you can make that will take you forward to that vision that you have. And you can phrase it like, I'm going to make a decision. I'm making a decision to do X or to do Y or not do Z, right? Okay, so by now, hopefully you have made at least one decision that can bring this vision that you have in motion, that can get this into motion. And we're almost at the end of this workshop, at the end of these exercises. And I want to start this next part about action with a spot experiment. So imagine there are 14 frogs on a log, and 3 of them decided to jump into the lake. How many frogs are on that log still? If you think 11, 14 minus 3, 3 jumped, equals 11, then you need to understand that there's a difference between taking action and making a decision. There are still 14 frogs because they decided, they didn't make the action. So now I want you to take action. I want you to, this is the last exercise, by the way, and I want you to write down or think of an action that you can commit to doing in the next 24 hours that is in alignment with this decision that you made and can help you get the ball rolling towards that vision that you have. And that action, it should be so small that you should feel stupid if you weren't able to do it in the next 24 hours. And if you feel a lot of resistance just thinking about that action, try to think of something smaller. So, for example, if you want to get fit or more fit, maybe registering to a gym is not the best thing you can do. Maybe there's a lot of resistance for that. But you could do push-ups, you could do some sit-ups, maybe you can do some squats, or you can go for a walk, you can go for a bike ride, and weather permitting. Even after the session, you can do that. Physically, you're able to do that. Or if you want to start eating healthy, more healthy, let's say, you could commit to throwing everything out from your all the junk food from your fridge. I mean, sure, you might feel resistance, you paid money for it, but physically you can't do that. Or even if you want to let's say switch jobs, what you could do is add your latest role description into your CV. So that's all of that is definitely possible in the next 24 hours. So right now, that backlog item that you had in your mind for the past 6 months or even longer, I want you to drag it into the to-do column. So, take a minute and write down what you can commit to in the next 24 hours. Okay, so hopefully you wrote down the action that you're going to take in the next 24 hours. So we're done with the action part. So you've made a decision, at least one decision, and you know what action you're going to take in the next 24 hours that's in alignment with the decision. And with this, this is the end of our workshop, and we have upgraded your life system. So, first we talked about your vision, what your life looks like right now, where you want it to go. We identified compelling reasons of why you want to achieve it. Secondly, we moved into interference and finding what can make you fail. You identified what gives you energy, what drains you of energy, and you're committed to minimizing one of those energy drains. And thirdly, finally, we looked into action. So hopefully you have made at least one decision, and you have committed to taking a small step forward towards that vision that you have. But I'll be the first to admit, taking action can be really scary, especially if something that you have never done. Uh, I felt weak. I felt weak, unsure of myself, doubting myself hundreds of times throughout my life, and even my career, the past few years. And a lot of those times, I regretted not being able to, move forward and take that action. But what helped me feel powerful enough to go forward were the amazing mentors and coaches that I have. And I want to help you do the same and take that, help you see how powerful you are, how that life's vision that you have how can you make that real? So that's why I'm inviting two of you into my life architecture partnership program, which is a 3-month sprint, which will help you make these things that we identified, make these changes, last for your whole life, and help you achieve that vision. And if you're tired of fixing the same problems over and over again, find me on Slack, on the community Slack, and write me the word architect. I will get started. We'll sort things out, how to get started, how to get you there. And even if you don't join me on this journey, I sincerely hope that what you gain from this, the insights that you gain from this workshop will help enable you to live happier and more fulfilling lives and create that vision that you have. Because that's my goal. I want to help people live happier and more fulfilling lives, so we can create a better world for everyone, for us, for our future generations. And having gone through this workshop with me, be honest. When the alarm rings next thing in the morning tomorrow, what will be the first feeling that will hit your chest?
I would say that some pressure to move things. I think this is the most feeling that I have when I start to plan these things out, especially because it's in the morning, so it's really something personal. But other than this kind of thing, it's something that gives me some like will to move things forward. But at the same time, I would say that the main problem is to keeping the pace. So as someone that like I already read some blog posts about you, and I think you did something in the past in G2i, I think last year. And I think on your website you have like a quiz that you can fill. And like my quiz went to like a burnout response. Like it was way beyond the thing. And I think like every time that I'm doing something like this, the main issue is to keep the pace. Like it's a marathon, right? So you need to keep making things like forward. But if you try to run like a same like 100 meters as an Olympic, you fail because it's a marathon, right? So getting this rush is something that doesn't work for this kind of things. You need to keep the pace that you can keep things working for you and for the others around you, especially. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's perfect. And thank you for sharing that. I know that feeling all too well, and I'm sure Sanjana probably also.
Yeah.
So,
but it's good. I mean, like it's something that to myself, it keeps me moving, trying to fix things. So even though sometimes it extrapolates what is needed, but it's like a pendulum, right? So sometimes you are really below, sometimes you are really high. So it will depend. Like, it's like how life works pretty much, right? So we just need to keep like pace when things is not good, because the next day it's the next day, so you can change things on the next day. So
and it's very good to like check in with your intuition, or your heart, however you call it. What is it saying? Is it saying, I'm getting to hell, right? I'm gonna burn out this way, or whatever way. I mean, it's good to listen to it. I haven't listened to it, and I burned out way more than I wanted to. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for that session, Simonas. I think it's something that we all needed to just remember what brings us joy and, just keep going. And right now, I'd love us to do optional breakout rooms for those who'd like to reflect on the workshop and connect with other developers. For those sitting, I really recommend you to turn on your cameras if you're comfortable. We're going to do one breakout room where you'll be randomly matched with another developer, and the session will be around 7 minutes long, and it'll give you a chance to reflect on what we've covered today. Remember to introduce yourself and talk about the prompt, which is what's one takeaway from today's workshop that you're going to act on. So remember, please be yourself, introduce yourself, and I'm going to get those breakout rooms started.